Hey, welcome back. We got to talk about Moon Knight. We got to talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We got Obi-Wan coming up. We got She-Hulk to talk about.
It's a Marvel Multiverse of Madness.
It's a lot to talk about. Come along with us.
Mega episode,
let's go.
applesauce and bologna. Let's do it, man.
Right.
Okay, where do we want to start? I guess Moon Knight?
Let's roll back. Yeah, let's roll back the times. We'll Mark Spector. Let's talk about Moon Knight. Finale Moon Knight blew my mind.
Yeah.
Best Marvel show so far.
Yeah, they keep getting better. I mean, WandaVision was high concept. Falcon Winter Soldier. I think if I had to say there was one, and I loved Falcon Winter Soldier, but if I had to say there's one that was just sort of like what I expected, in trying to be sort of a long form Captain America, that would be it. But every single other show has just been building and building and building, not just on the multiverse, but in different ways to tell superhero stories. And I think Moon Knight just put the cherry on top of that. I don't know how they're going to top it. I hope they do.
I mean, they're just great concept pieces. Like if you look at TV, if you look at film, they really said, hey, we're going to make a spy movie. We're going to make an adventure Indiana Jones movie. We're going to make whatever WandaVision was, whether it was a sitcom or, they've really just said, hey, we're going to give you everything that we can possibly give you. And really, this last phase of Marvel has really been that. It's what we've got with Doctor Strange. It's what we got with Spider-Man. They're really shifting and showing us different aspects of what
and different realities, literally different realities. I don't think Moon Knight very, very barely connects itself to the MCU. It doesn't worry about connecting itself to the MCU in the way that WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier and even Loki did. I mean, it's very much its own thing. It could exist in a vacuum outside of those.
From what I've read, that was intentional.
Yeah.
I guess they had Eternals cameos lined up. They had there was going to be another cameo. And they scrapped it all. They're like, this needs to be able
from Thor: Love and Thunder, probably some of the godlike creatures in that or something.
I don't remember. But they're like, this needs to exist in a bubble. This needs to be a way to bring new people into Marvel. You don't have to have watched any of the previous Marvel stuff to enjoy Moon Knight. And that was one of the more fun things about it, because there was no preconceived idea of what had to happen in the show, other than there was going to be a guy that had superpowers.
Right. I mean, and to sort of start to twist from the end of Moon Knight, which we're not done talking about, but into the Multiverse of Madness. The good thing about Moon Knight is I was able to take a fresh, new person to the Marvel movies and show them Moon Knight, and they very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to take this person to the Multiverse of Madness, because they have to take a whole 400 level class in MCU to really appreciate her. They would have no idea what was going on.
Just like they've just recently done for Obi-Wan. Disney released a list of here's your must-see things before you see.
Yeah, you almost have to do some homework.
There's definitely a list of things that you probably should see before Doctor Strange. I don't think you have to. You should see Doctor Strange 1.
Right, and it should be more like that. And I think that's why Mandalorian, I think that's why Boba Fett's getting a lot of flack from people, you really have to kind of do your homework and you have to be in it. Whereas The Mandalorian, I think, succeeded because it was a great way to bring in somebody you didn't have to know anything about Jedi, anything about the Skywalker saga, anything at all. And you could enjoy
Easter eggs. There, if you're a deep fan of the things, there were deep cuts that were like, oh, there's the guy,
right?
Doing my Leonardo DiCaprio, hey. But if you're not, The Mandalorian was a great way to just, segue into this deeper Star Wars world. Granted, we're way off the track because we're ADHD and we can't stay on track for anything.
Well, that's kind of where the multiverse is right now.
Yeah,
I mean, the MCU multiverse is all over the place. They're throwing stuff left and right. I mean, in the last week, that's why part of also I think in another universe I died. I got very sick last week. Yeah. I'm better now.
We've been stuck in the multiverse. Well, I mean, welcome to the multiverse where I have a ponytail.
Right. Right.
So
and I finally shaved, and I'm not wearing my glasses. In another multiverse, it's been a wild ride, and buckle up because more is coming out. We got Miss Marvel, we got She-Hulk, we've got Thor: Love and Thunder is around the corner.
Yeah. Okay, so not delving quite into She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel yet, I want to talk about the female aspect of the MCU. There's a lot of people really mad calling it the MCU, but I want to stop.
I'm down for the MCU.
But I want to stop because I want to talk about the Scarlet Scarab at the end of Moon Knight.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, such a drawn out, long reveal. You know, kind of touching on two things. You know, it gives us a history of that character and how her father was a hero before. Blah 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 blah. Doesn't quite match her comics story, but who cares? It's cool.
No, when we talked about that before with Moon Knight, is, you know, a lot of that stuff was not written by people of the culture that it was written about.
Yeah.
And part of the thing I think is great about the Scarlet Scarab is a more interesting character almost than Mark Spector. And again, nothing taking away from Oscar Isaac or any of that. But I mean, yeah, let's have the Egyptian superhero be a woman trying to find her place in Middle Eastern culture as it's coming into the 21st century, and that is the Scarlet Scarab.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they give us the moment where the little girl's like, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And she's like, "Yes."
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's very reminiscent of Wonder Woman, and from what I've read, that was intentional. Mm-hmm. That this was the director. He did not like the way that Wonder Woman 2 dealt with the Egyptian motifs.
Yeah, it was
very much came for Wonder Woman and did their job. I mean, this was a great golden winged costume where she had it was awesome.
It was awesome.
And I loved how they kind of twisted our thoughts, where like Khonshu was talking to Mark and Steven, where he's like, "Oh, well, you know, there's other people that I'm interested in if you're not going to be it." And we always thought, he was like, "Oh, you're talking about Layla. You're
it's Jake Loxley.
Oh,
Let's get into it." Like, okay, so this has been bothering me for a long time. I mean, and I think in previous episodes about Moon Knight, we talked about this, but I really like the gray area, both in Eternals and now Moon Knight. The gray area that we have where you finish watching it, and I think that's why the general audiences are a little hesitant to start embracing this, but I think it's very brave, and I think, again, Marvel as a whole is listening to the criticisms that all Marvel movies are the same, and because they're throwing some pretty complex themes at us, where who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Are the Celestials necessarily the bad guys? Are they necessarily the good guys? Well, at the end of Moon Knight, spoiler alert, go to the very end of the credits, last episode of Moon Knight, Khonshu not a great guy.
Which I think we kind of get that
right, but he goes way to the end with the way
But we assume that Mark Spector gets to be a good guy because he's using the powers. But yeah, there's definitely this.
Right. So what we're talking about is the very end of Moon Knight. You know, we think that Mark Spector and Stephen Grant they've made a deal, and now they're in control of Khonshu, and they say, "Hey,
he's supposed to leave."
And he does make the deal with them. He does make that. So obviously they're setting up, because I think this has happened in Shang-Chi and Eternals. And I think we're going to see it in Thor: Love of Thunder, where there is some sort of cosmic rule, and this goes back to, D&D, lawful evil, where you can make pacts. You can make pacts that they do have to follow if they agree with these extraplanar, extra-dimensional beings. But Khonshu knows something that Steven and Mark don't necessarily know, and so when he promises that they're going to control Moon Knight and he's no longer going to be in control, he's not talking about Layla. He's talking about Jake Loxley.
Yeah, and for people that know Moon Knight, you were probably expecting it. You knew that there was a third altar out there. Mm-hmm. We saw the sarcophagus that was rattling. Everyone that knows about it thought that was going to be Jake. We expected to see him earlier. I love that they gave us all the way through it, the whole thing, and you're like, whoa, it never came up. And then,
Right, but again, if you go back, Moon Knight is incredibly rewatchable, and I have to go back and rewatch it a third time now, because Jake is there the whole time. The whole time.
The entirety of the show is there. Every episode, when you watch the last two episodes, there are little bits and pieces peppered through the entirety of the show. There's the boat from the doo-wop in his fish tank There's the pyramids. There's
there's the little girl putting the thing in and saying, "Oh, sorry, you didn't get to stay in the land of reeds," and like, oh man,
it's such an amazing.
It's one of the smartest. It's one of the smartest things that Marvel has done, and it just makes me more and more excited. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have the action punchity punch stuff. Going back to MCU, I'm down for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Iron Man, Captain America.
Black Panther.
But we had plenty of male and especially white male superheroes. There's a lot of other superheroes, and there's a lot of other versions of superheroes, and I'm down for it.
Yeah. So part of the reason why we're a little late in talking about these shows, and there's probably more that we can talk about Moon Knight because it was such a great show.
Yeah.
But of course, we got Moon Knight finished on a Wednesday. And then immediately afterwards, Doctor Strange.
Multiverse of Madness.
I saw it twice
and
that weekend.
Holy moly.
And my brain kind of broke, and I couldn't honestly think about Moon Knight anymore because there was just the implications of what this movie, which not the movie I thought we were going to get, but absolutely loved it. And I know there's criticism about it. And, you'd mentioned a point earlier where you said that, Marvel... People were criticizing that Marvel is a one-trick pony. But now there's people that are like, well, this wasn't a Marvel movie. It's like, well, okay, so you can't, going back to Moon Knight, you can't balance the scales. It's either going to be a Marvel movie or it's going to be a Sam Raimi movie or whoever else.
Right. Do we go after Marvel after they've committed the sin, or do we wipe them out before they commit? But and to move on to Multiverse of Madness, Sam Raimi and America Chavez absolutely stole that movie. I mean, love Benedict Cumberbatch, love his version of Doctor Strange, but
it wasn't his movie.
It wasn't his movie.
It was Wanda's movie, and it was.
I think her name's America Chavez.
America Chavez. Yeah.
Chavez.
I'm not going to pronounce the actress's name.
What is it? Power Girl?
No, she's America Chavez.
That's the.
She's America Chavez.
That's the character. Yeah, it's her movie, and I think the implications of her power and the handing of the torch from the male to the female, and that's fine.
Twice in this movie.
There's lots of stuff out there for a young man to grasp onto and be like, that's me. Yeah. But it's very exciting, especially as a guy who has a daughter, to see so many things out there that my daughter can grow up with and see and be like, oh, I could be a superhero. Look at this strong female. I mean, like, I'm so excited to take my daughter Freya to Thor: Love and Thunder, because Natalie Portman is jacked.
Yeah.
I would not get into a fight with Natalie Portman.
I mean, I'd probably get in a fight with Natalie Portman.
Well, but for creepy, weird reasons. But
it's representation matters, and whether you want to point at it and yell you're being woke, or whether you want to embrace it, representation matters because, to your point, we've been enjoying heroes in comic books, movies, TV shows, books for our entire lives because it's been a male protagonist-led world.
Well, it almost kind of goes back to Electro in No Way Home, where he goes like, "Man, I thought you were black." So why not? Like, we've had three? We've had three Spider-Mans, three white Spider-Mans. Yeah. Why? Like, you're not being replaced if you have like a black Puerto Rican Spider-Man, or But I'm pretty stoked. Like, this next Marvel movie. The next Avengers movie, even though they say there's not going to be any more Avengers movies, being mostly female is going to be exciting. Yeah. The thing I do want to see, though, I do hope that there's a moment when the very few male superheroes get their moment, get their moment together. I hope that they could do a callback to that from Avengers Endgame.
Where they're like, oh, we're all the guys. I mean, it's gonna be cool. Something else that I wanted to bring up about Doctor Strange that I vehemently disagree with. There were a lot of people complaining that this movie, because Sam Raimi didn't watch WandaVision, which doesn't have any basis because the writer had notes of WandaVision. There's Kevin Feige. Everything's pointing to the right direction.
See, I couldn't tell.
Everyone's like, well, you ruined Wanda's redemption arc at the end of WandaVision. And if you watch WandaVision...
There's not really a redemption arc.
But if you watch WandaVision, okay, cool. So there's a pseudo-redemption at the end where she's like, oh, I was wrong. I released the people. Yeah, I'm the bad guy. But then the post-credit sequence, she goes off with the Darkhold.
Yes.
So you can't say that this is a Wanda who's ruined her redemption arc, because it's a Wanda who's gone past her redemption arc, now into a deeper, darker place where she's been tainted by this malevolent.
See, yeah, I disagree with these people completely. WandaVision isn't a traditional arc. It's more of a kind of what Marvel and the superhero movies, and I think what we're all doing right now. Yeah, it's a very much a who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I? And what I am is a broken person.
Yeah.
And I think what Loki reveals and what Wanda reveals is a broken person trying to do the right thing, who's made terrible, terrible mistakes and is trying to reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
And Wanda is very much about reinventing her. I actually think her character, it completely melds into Multiverse of Madness from WandaVision.
Yeah.
Because here's a person who has had everything taken from her, and again, sort of preparing my partner to see Multiverse of Madness. I've gone back and watched Infinity War, Endgame. We've been doing the whole coursework leading up to getting to see Multiverse of Madness, and it's all fitting into place. It's all setting up.
It really is.
That the Tony Stark and Captain America by the end of Endgame are so tired.
Yeah.
And even Captain America, who's supposed to be the best of them, he's not. He realizes that he is not what he wants to be.
Right.
And that he has his own issues. There's a part that you can see where, he's like, well, we have to win, or I don't know what I'll do.
Yeah, Civil War really breaks him, and the Infinity Saga past that was really just a continuation of that, like, I'm not Captain America, I'm Steve Rogers. I'm not your ideal.
Right. Well, and very much like what people of our generation deal with is like, I was born of a certain generation. There are parts of me that are toxic that I'm trying to deal with, but also I can only change so much.
Yeah.
And then it's time to take what I do have, what power I do have, and hand it to the next generation, just like old Steve Rogers does at the end of Endgame when he shows up and hands it to to Falcon,
Sam.
to Sam. Is hey, like I don't know what the right answer is. All I know is it's time to pass the torch.
Well, there's a dual passing of torches if you really want to look at that show, is because the shield goes to Sam, but his Make Me a Better Person notebook goes to Bucky. And I think we all have, whether it's an actual notebook or a mental notebook of things that make us better. And I really think that the Trouble Man soundtrack should be on everyone's Make Me Better list.
Right.
But, you're right. I mean, when we look at all the Marvel stuff that's been out in the last year and a half, it's really built on trauma. I saw somewhere posted on the internet where, like, there's a crying scene in every single, like, Loki cries and Wanda cries and everyone. It's built on trauma and loss, and we're really, really leaning hard into that in Doctor Strange, because the whole thing is premised on the many losses.
Well, and that comes full circle in the She-Hulk trailer, because the voiceover is Banner, Bruce Banner, trying to talk Jennifer Walters into, you need to be a superhero, and you hear her other friends telling her a superhero, and the main line, the stopping point of that trailer is where she says, like, I'm not going to be an Avenger. I'm not going to be a superhero because I'm not a traumatized
a millionaire
orphan. I mean,
or grown up orphan.
It's very much that right there is what we're talking about when we're talking about, like, that Marvel is aware of what they've done right and what they need to do better, just like the heroes that exist in that universe, and they're doing it. I mean, and going into Multiverse of Madness and Moon Knight. The same theme is there, where Stephen Grant and Mark Spector realize they're broken, and they're trying to protect Layla. But what they realize in trying to protect Layla is that they need to follow Layla. They need Layla to protect them. Trying to do trying to be an ally, especially a white man in this world, trying to be an ally right now. It's a fine line of, like, am I helping you, or am I just making myself feel like the white savior, or is it self-serving? And the Marvel movies are really getting into that. Same thing with Doctor Strange. He thinks literally there's a point in that movie when he destroys an entire reality, trying to save his reality, and has to be executed by the Illuminati. And what we realize, and that's the arc of Doctor Strange in that, is that he can't be the one holding the knife.
Yeah.
He can't be the one holding the knife. He has to be willing to give America Chavez the opportunity to be a hero and trust that. And that's, I think, what all of us need to do, both in life and enjoying these Marvel movies, is like, look, I don't want a Marvel MCU where they do exactly what I want or I expect.
Right.
I enjoy going and being surprised and being shocked and being shown, a different way that it can be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Multiverse of Madness is all about. That's what, Doctor Strange has to learn. That's what we have to learn, is we don't get to hold the knife. They're the creatives. They're going to do it.
Yeah. Speaking of people holding the knife, you brought up the Illuminati.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Time to get in the Illuminati.
We have to talk about this. It'll probably be brief because we're packing a lot into this episode. Illuminati, brought together in the Marvel Comics to be the smartest, most influential heroes to make sure that the timeline is going in the correct order. Kind of what they did here, more so for their one multiverse, where their Stephen Strange kind of went off the rails and started going down that Darkhold path. Captain Carter, we get Reed Richards, we get a Captain Marvel.
We get a Photon,
well, whether she's Photon or Captain Marvel.
Well, she's Photon's Captain Marvel, yeah.
We got a callback to Black Bolt from the Inhumans show that failed miserably.
Right, that was supposed to be its own movie in another reality. Was supposed to be its own movie, got turned into a TV show.
In another multiverse, that show was better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and went on and probably won awards.
Yes.
And we get Professor Charles Xavier with the X-Men cartoon theme playing in the background.
X-Men 97, part of your homework, if you really want to be ready for this next phase of Marvel, start watching that X-Men 97.
Yeah,
we'll get into it. We'll do a whole X-Men 97.
Especially before X-Men 97 continues.
Yeah.
But so I just want to sit here and ruminate on what we got with the Illuminati characters for just a second.
Yeah.
Before I remember the trauma, the immediate trauma of Wanda just
killing them all,
ripping them apart in seconds.
Yeah. Well, pretty much setting herself up as one of the most powerful. a level 5 mutant.
She's
if you go to the X-Men,
in Marvel.
Yeah, she's definitely in the comics universe, she's Magneto's daughter. She's one of the most powerful mutants. We're talking House of M.
Yeah.
We're talking she can literally change reality. It gets real quick there at the end.
Oh man. Yeah, I lost my breath a couple of times during.
But while we're ruminating about it, it really makes me wonder, going forward in this thing, I think we're going to see more of the Illuminati or versions of the Illuminati from other realities, because He Who Remains specifically mentions in Loki, he references the Avengers, those pretentious Avengers. I think he's talking about the Illuminati, because if there's two factions trying to control the multiverse and the flow of time, I can see. Because they're basically
specifically. I don't think he is. I just don't think that we had that word when we did Loki. But I'm sure that they're out there. I'm sure we're going to get that, because if we get a Kang.
Well, but who could face Kang if we're having a war over the way time and the multiple realities and the time streams should work? You've got He Who Remains, who wants a sacred timeline,
right?
And then you've got
got dark all of a sudden.
Oh yeah,
give us 1 second. We lost a light.
So yeah, I think that the Illuminati and He Who Remains, or Kang, are at war with how the sacred timeline versus how the Illuminati wants it to go. I think that there's a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if down the road that we see this Illuminati kind of come into it.
Yeah.
But the elephant in the room, the big stretchy elephant in the room is Dr. Reed Richards, Fantastic Four,
also now known as String Cheese.
String Cheese. Bearded, so I do think we're going to see an unbearded, younger Fantastic Four, just like we have prophesized in earlier Applesauce and Baloney.
Because there's a joke where he's like, "Weren't you a band in the '60s?"
You charted? Didn't you chart in the '60s? Which is a very Doctor Strange thing because he's into music. But see, I did very much like Ant-Man.
Very dual.
Yeah, very much like Ant-Man. I think and Henry, Hank Pym's backstory in the Ant-Man movies. I think we're gonna see a Fantastic Four that sometime during the '60s, sometime when their comic book characters were originated, have disappeared into the quantum verse. I would not be surprised at all if Quantumania is really the first Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah. I mean, there is so much to speculate based off of.
It's huge.
The multiverse, based off the TVA, based off Wanda changing realities.
Well, we haven't even gotten into. Okay, so what happens first? This could degenerate into a giant argument. We'll try to do it for time. But what happens first? No Way Home or Multiverse of Madness?
Well, okay, so like we talked about, we had a conversation about this offline. Sorry, corporate speak.
Out of pocket.
Yeah. Multiverse of Madness was originally meant to come out before Spider-Man.
Right.
COVID happened. Rewrites happened. Now Doctor Strange happens after Spider-Man. There is some weirdness where in Spider-Man he knows about the multiverse. They break the multiverse. Things happen.
But unintentionally. He's not going through the multiverse to save America Chavez. Yeah. He's trying to erase Peter Parker, and it ends up causing an incursion, which leads us back to what the Illuminati worries about, which is the single greatest threat to the multiverse is Doctor Strange.
Yeah. So, the scene where where Wong and Doctor Strange are talking to America Chavez about the other heroes, and they mention Spider-Man, was a write-in scene to cover for the fact that Doctor Strange now comes after Spider-Man. They say Spider-Man specifically, they don't say Peter Parker. So in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I do believe that Doctor Strange comes after Spider-Man. I think that's where it logically sits now. He didn't have a tear in his cape in Spider-Man. He does now. However, we're in a multiverse,
right? And you and I've talked about this. Or are we seeing a completely different? And we're going into Rick and Morty territory here, where people are wondering like, which Rick and Morty are we? Which multiverse are we? Is it 616 or 883?
All Doctor Strange all the time. Doctor Strange forever.
Doctor Strange forever for 100 years. Doctor Strange. Yeah, I mean, which are we seeing? Are we seeing this Doctor Strange in a multiverse? Is the whole movie of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, is that even in the Marvel movies that we've been seeing's universe, or is it in a slightly altered universe? Because if you were going to do that, this is the movie to do it without calling bullshit on it, basically.
Well, I mean, to that point, and we talked about it before, the Sony movies exist in their own multiverse.
Right.
That's called out at the end of Morbius, where we get the Vulture from the Spider-Man movies crosses over into the Morbius universe.
Right. So now are you saying then that the Multiverse of Madness is actually in the MCU, but the 3 Spider-Man movies, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, aren't necessarily in the exact same one?
I think they are. I think they're in our MCU.
And we're talking branches of timelines branching off here.
And so here's the weird part, because there are people that are even speculating that the Loki show exists in its own multiverse.
Well, right, because that Loki
has its own timeline.
Right, because that Loki is part of the history when they go back to in Endgame to do the time heist. It
already is a branched timeline.
It already is a branch. So that's not the Loki. We have to remember that is not the Loki that we watch die in Endgame or in Infinity War.
So until we get the completion of whatever this multiverse saga is, or quantum saga, or whatever they're calling this next phase, until we get to the end of that, we won't really know where any of the puzzle pieces fit together, because they could be anywhere.
Well, we got
Venom crossing over into the MCU and then not crossing over. So obviously Venom doesn't exist in the MCU, but he also kind of does now. And the Vulture crossing over into Morbius, but is Morbius in the same universe as Venom? And where does Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield fit in? Because obviously they exist. Man,
and they go out of their way to say they exist in universes where there is no Avengers.
Yeah.
Because they make that really great line where it's like, great, the Avengers, what is that?
Yeah, is that a band? But so I mean, to that point, you know, we get the Spider-Man, we get different looks of Spider-Man. He's a different person. He's still Peter Parker, but he looks different. So my concern is that we're not going to get a John Krasinski Fantastic Four.
I would be bummed.
I want to see him continue
bummed.
on. I think he should continue on because he is the fan favorite to be Reed Richards. But we're in such a weird thing where, I mean, I don't believe that this is the Captain Carter that we got from What If. I think it's
it's
so
because that Captain Carter ended up in a
completely different
different universe. But
but
obviously Captain Carter, like Captain Carter happens in multiple realities where it's either Captain America or Captain Carter.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to talk about with Doctor Strange, real quick, other than Pizza Papa? Because don't disrespect Pizza Papa.
No, and yeah, I will. As I travel through the multiverse of my life, I'll remember her, America Chavez's 2 rules.
Yeah.
Which is
always eat.
Which is always eat.
Yeah.
And
nothing's as it seems.
Exactly. Don't assume anything.
Yeah. And go on red.
Yeah. Go on. Well, just don't assume you get to go on green. But yes.
Okay. So I want to talk. We're gonna get to She-Hulk. It's next up. But people are considering this phase of the MCU the Wong cinematic universe.
Great, I'm here for it.
He's
great.
I love it. I love Benedict Wong. I love his character Wong. I saw an interview with him where when they were casting for his character, he actually sent out a proposal to Marvel, calling it Wong for Wong. He's hilarious. I love seeing him in interviews. He's in Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Multiverse of Madness. He's gonna be in She-Hulk.
Oh, is he? Oh, well, obviously, if Abomination's there, they're setting up an Abomination Wong team up. Yeah.
So, will he be in Miss Marvel? Who knows?
Well, and he basically has been the Sorcerer Supreme for more movies than for like almost 3 times more movies than Doctor Strange.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, we missed something in Doctor Strange. We missed a big thing in Doctor Strange.
Go back.
Yeah. Rewind. Using the time stone, rewind.
Or Khonshu's,
Yeah. Post-credit scene. Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Doctor Strange's wife?
Yes. So, in the comics, people are calling this, and I think she's credited in the credits as Clea. Clea Strange, in the comics, Doctor Strange's wife, who happens to be the niece of Dormammu from the Dark Dimension. She is also the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension. People are speculating that that's the Dark Dimension that we see through the portal when she opens it.
Oh.
So whether or not we continue that story, I want to see the rest of that story. I was so excited to see her when she showed up.
Well, I mean, if we're going by other post-credit scenes, she's not just going to be a one-off. She was obviously there for a reason.
Yeah.
And she, so I think we're going to get maybe Wong as Sorcerer Supreme of ours.
Yeah.
But Clea will be the Doctor Strange going forward.
Yeah.
After, Benedict Cumberbatch's time.
Yeah. Again, leading us directly into the MCU.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Whatever. Just make Marvel movies.
I like superheroes.
Yeah.
I like superheroes.
Yeah. So, there was something else I wanted to talk about. Completely escapes me now. I'm sure I'll get excited about it in a second. But
I think She-Hulk. Yeah.
She-Hulk. Dropped a trailer. I'm excited for it. It's coming in a month.
Yeah, a month.
Or month and change.
Well, yeah, and then Miss Marvel is like right on its heels.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting because I want to say Miss Marvel is in June.
Is Miss Marvel first? It's Miss Marvel.
I
then
think
She-Hulk?
it might be Miss Marvel then She-Hulk,
I'm
but they
forgetting
are.
my
I think they
calendar.
are going to be back to back, very much like they did with Falcon. WandaVision. Then Falcon Winter Soldier was a month after that, and then Loki was a month after that.
I do want to thank Disney for giving us a brief month of Obi-Wan Kenobi. before they hit us with more Marvel.
But that's for next time. Yeah. The next time you'll see us, we're going to be hardcore on Kenobi.
Yeah, but She-Hulk trailer, great trailer. People are complaining about the CG. Shut up about the CG. Some CG is awesome. Some is not as stellar as it needs to be. There's budgets. There's time constraints.
Well, and from my memory of She-Hulk, and I think that they did this both to give the actress time to actually act and not have to be wearing ping pong balls the whole time. But from my memory of She-Hulk is She-Hulk permanently changes in the comics. She is always, she does not change back and forth. And so we're either going to get there through this one, or they've done that so that there is that sort of transformation between the woman that she was and then the She-Hulk that she becomes. And so they're doing their best with the budgets that they have. Yeah. But
and the time, because again, we are getting content like nobody's business.
Yeah, I love it. I'm here for it. No, I love give me all things Hulk. If I get to see more of Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, because who knows what we're going to get to see him going forward, I will take it. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, there's just leading up, the next year straight of Marvel movies and content coming out. We haven't even got to Thor: Love and Thunder. There'll be time for that. But this all ties into it. Yeah. And we're going to get to witness the final handing of the torch off. Again, if you're worried about MCU, then buy, because you already had 12, 15 years? 12, 15 years of male-centric superhero stories. Like, I think you can handle 5 years of MCU. Yeah. And I'm here for it. And so far, so good, because stellar, interstellar, multiverse, quantum reality storytelling going on right here.
So before we move on, though, because I feel like we're wrapping up.
Yeah, we need to wrap up because nobody's watching. Yeah,
before we put the nail in this episode, I heard something about Secret Invasion that is kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
Okay, hit me. I have not heard it.
So, Secret Invasion is going to be set in the Blip.
During the Blip.
Starring Samuel L. Jackson and Kobe Smulders as our Nick Fury, and I can't remember her name.
But see, I think it's going to Maria Hill. So, but I think it's going to be Talos and his wife.
Well, Ben Mendelsohn's in it too.
That's what I'm saying. So, I think because I have seen the things. I think I have seen some of the stuff you're talking about. I disagree that it is Talos getting blipped at the end of Infinity War, because here's my main. I think it's an interesting theory. I think it's wrong, and here's why. As Maria Hill is disintegrating, she says Nick. Yeah. Which Maria Hill always calls him Fury. Right. Nobody, just like only even his mother, calls him Fury. Yep. She calls him Nick. If it was Talos and his wife and they were disintegrating for real, they would have changed back, and she definitely wouldn't have said Nick. They wouldn't have. I'm calling it right here that was the real Maria Hill and Nick Fury going away. Because who's to say that that Nick Fury didn't also blip during that time?
Well, I mean, theoretically, he did blip.
Right.
But which Nick Fury? It was just a really
It's interesting.
It was just a really mind-bending concept when they put that out, and I'm like, but wait a minute. So we've talked about it before, where does Nick Fury stop being Nick Fury, and where does he start being Skrull Fury? And we go up to the sword spaceship, and
Right. We get the one thing at the end of Captain Marvel or at the end of Far From Home. Where he makes the call. We reveal that the whole time during Far From Home, Nick Fury has not been Nick Fury; he's been Talos and his wife. So that's the one thing saying that he's there.
Where did he stop being Nick Fury? Was it during Civil War? Was the Nick Fury that was shot and quote unquote dying not Nick Fury?
Right, because we have to remember, Nick Fury is known about the Skrull and been working with the Skrull since 1990-something from the Captain Marvel movie. So at any time, in fact, it might not be the first time that he's switched off. Yeah. He could have been using Talos on and off all the way through everything we've seen in the MCU, to be honest.
Yeah. So just a little bit of baloney for you guys to chew on.
Yeah.
Until we get to the next episode, which will be.
My brain is
Kenobi.
applesauce
Yes.
from all this baloney. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. More to come.